Heyo, it's Kep here. This is going to be, hopefully, a quick video on the Daikyu Prime. This thing is a monster, and I cannot tell you how absolutely ecstatic I was to hear that this was finally coming. I swear to God, we realistically should have gone Daikyu Prime with Ivara Prime. I don't know why we didn't, because they're around the same age. It's weird. Actually, no, Daikyu Prime is quite a bit older, I think. Oh God, everything gets fuzzy from back then. Back in my day of Warframe, when the Daikyu didn't have a prime. But look at this thing. It is absolutely beautiful. For the sake of the video and just mentioning it because somebody might get confused, I did rename Daikyu Prime to Drawn Fate because, well, you know, you draw the arrow and you spell their fate. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah? Alright, that's some nerd shit. Before we start the video, I really quickly want to thank our Patreon members. It was basically you guys who helped pay for the Prime access, so I didn't have to try and spend a million years trying to farm it out, because I have awful luck when it comes to these things. I have never been able to farm a Prime set on the first day. So yeah, anyways, in the Heirloom Tomato tier, we have Trash Goblin, The Law, Mr. Anonymous, Clausel, Astra, and Amnesty. In the Beefsteak Tomato tier, we have Row in My Boat, June, Hushin and Filth, Heather, Charger, Aonerd, Ack, and 10VY. And in the Cherry Tomato tier, we have Woland, Squeaky, Grug, and Darag. You guys are seriously awesome. Thank you so much. So much, especially because I am now absolutely dripped out. Kullervo video is coming next. I'm going to do the Kullervo video next, and then I'm going to put out a little compressive video, which hopefully will, you know, get a little bit of coverage. I don't think too much will come from it. But we're going to kill some things. I really quickly need to change this build. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look at it. There we go. Because I want to explain a couple of things that are going on. So to jingle the keys in front of your face, we're going to do this. Oh, the first shot didn't do that much damage. Boom! The next shot certainly will. Longbow sharp shots is incredibly strong, and we can take a ton of advantage of it. That's why we're getting these super crazy, stupid high numbers. It's because of the damage multiplication from that. We don't have multiplicative Guncio on the Daikyu Prime, even though most bows, or, you know, a select few of them, do have multi-Guncio. Daikyu Prime does not, and we tested it. And don't quote me on this, but I did do just like a rough test to see if it was multiplicative, if the damage numbers, you know, were being really aggressive. And it felt like it was actually weaker than it should be, so I am, you know, quite curious to see if maybe it's diluted on the Daikyu Prime for whatever reason. Maybe the code of implementing a uncharged shot versus a charged shot did something to mess it up, but it is a little bit odd. But as you can see over here, this is just absolutely ripping through enemies. It is definitely on the second shot is when you get that huge blast proc. With this current build that we have, there's about a 91% chance to proc blast, which is really good because we're using primary acuity. So we want to have that, you know, 100 or over 100% chance to proc something on our hit, because we don't have multi-shot to make up for the, you know, the lost chances when we don't roll on the good side of things. So you can see when we do get a blast proc, it is big damage and definitely going to do quite a bit. The best part is that this goes right through enemies as well, so if you can, you know, aim glide and land a headshot, something like this, the blast proc is going to hit them twice and is going to be really strong. So this is just going to one-shot both of them, basically. Very cool. There is a version of this that does use gas, but I'm going to be dead honest, I'm not a huge fan of using gas, specifically because the AoE from Blast is going to be quite a bit larger on one stack. The AoE of gas will get larger per stack, or the more stacks that are added onto an enemy, but in this case, when that's the only thing that you're proccing is just that one stack before the enemy dies, it's not a huge AoE, albeit, you know, it is sizable in some cases and still will deal quite a bit of damage. It's definitely enough to kill a lot of the chaff enemies that might be walking around, you know, a corner or something like that into the room, and it'll just immediately delete them. But in my opinion, Blast is, you know, significantly better. If we were to really quickly, before we dive into the builds fully, look at the differences before the normal Daikyu and the Daikyu Prime, some people might not have known, but the Daikyu Prime now has access to a quick shot, so the damage numbers here are going to look a little bit odd, because the charge shot is the only shot on the normal Daikyu, but the quick shot on the Daikyu Prime comes first, and it's not comparing the two charge shot values instead. So you can see over here that the quick shot for the Daikyu Prime might seem like it has lower stats, especially in the damage compartment, but if you look all the way down, the charge shot is going to be 750, whereas the charge shot of the normal Daikyu is 700. So we get 50 extra base damage. We unfortunately can't really see what those numbers are unless we just look at the weapons individually. I'm too lazy to do that. But what we do get is another 4% status chance, which is amazing because that puts us over the 50% edge, which is awesome. There's definitely a lot of breakpoints that we can hit when it comes to that. We also have a 0.4%, or no, 0.4, but a 0.40 increase in our critical damage, which is really, really nice. So it's going to scale quite a bit better. And then we also have a 6% chance in our, a 6% increase in our critical chance. Not to mention, we can now also do a partial shot or a full draw. The Daikyu Prime has a very poggers and super cool, awesome dab, I don't know. The fucking unique trait is awesome. This is so strong, it's not even funny. 250% critical chance is crazy because critical delay only gives you 200, so having that just built into a weapon with a 40% critical chance, might I add, is really insane. So definitely, we are going to pair this with primary acuity so we can get those sweet blast procs, and they can expedite when the original target dies. You get a big AoE boom that does a lot of damage. The nice part about having blast as being a status AoE is because a lot of weapons in Warframe, the AoE blast of a weapon doesn't scale at all with Galvanized Aptitude. However, we can force that to happen if the AoE comes directly from blast. So we are now scaling from all of our damage, even though we're not using Galvanized Aptitude. In this case, blast is just really strong as an AoE weapon when it comes to these really high damage single target weapons. So primary acuity is going to give us a ton of weak point damage, and it's also going to give us a ton of weak point critical chance, which is amazing. I have not figured out if the weak point damage is actual weak point damage, like headshot damage, or if it is base damage that is added only when you're hitting them on the weak point. It's kind of hard to tell, but so far we have the unique trait over here, which is 250% critical chance, and then we have primary acuity, which is 350. And if we pull up a calculator over here, we have galvanized scope, which is 120 plus 40 times 5. So we're going to do 40 times 5 plus 120, and then plus 250, and then plus 350, which is going to give us 920% modded crit chance. So that's not our final crit chance. If we wanted to find out our final crit chance, we would do 40 times 9.2, and that's going to give us 368% total crit chance, or that's our final crit chance when we hit an enemy in the head and everything is stacked up. That is fucked, dude. That is messed up. That's not okay. What were they thinking? That's a lot of critical chance just from these two mods here. So it is really freaking strong. Amalgam Daikyu target acquired is also amazing because, as far as I know, this is a separate headshot multiplier than the one we're getting from Acuity, and even if it is, then I suppose it's nice, but the fact that we can feed base damage into this and then also have our Amalgam Daikyu target acquired is really nice. You do get the 60% chance to pick up arrows, which is pretty cool. I don't particularly notice it in game. I feel like the ammo just does refill quite a bit faster because you're not spending a lot of shots on enemies if you're hitting your shots, because sometimes it can be kind of rough, you know, hitting the heads. Prime Cryo Rounds is here because it's our only prime version of an element, or for rifles and stuff like that, so it's going to do a lot of damage. It's basically giving us another serration bonus as compared to something that's 90%, so it is a really big buff when it comes to our damage. If I were to swap this out for normal Cryo Rounds, you can see the difference in damage is nearly 700, I think. Yeah, just about 700 difference in damage. So lots and lots of damage that we're getting from Prime Cryo Rounds here. We also have Hellfire to increase the base damage of our blast procs even more. And then we have Thermite Rounds, which you might be thinking to yourself, oh, that's weird. Why do we have Thermite Rounds? But that's because we also have Hammer Shot over here. Hammer Shot is really nice because it gives us a little bit of crit damage, which is fine and all, but it gives us 80% status chance. And if we just have Hammer Shot on here, our status chance goes to 90%. But if we look at the status weighting, we're going to see that Blast only has a 64%. So if we come over here and take Thermite Rounds, and we look again, Now our blast has a 91% status weighting. So basically, there's a 100% chance that you will proc something on your target. There's a 20% chance that you'll proc more than one thing on your target. However, there's a 90% chance that that first proc will be blast, and then there's, you know, I'm complicating it. You get blast pretty often, right? Enough. Basically, every shot is going to be proccing blast, so, you know, kind of hard to not do it. Daikyu does have guaranteed impact procs, but it's cringe. I don't recommend using it. I'm pretty confident that a lot of slop tubers might just pick this up and immediately think, I could make an internal bleeding build with that, and it's not fucking, you know, 2022, dog. We're not doing viral slash anymore. Blast is the way to go. Blast is so fucking strong. You can put it on anything. I do have this build over here if you really desperately wanted to use something like internal bleeding, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is way, way, way weaker when it comes to dealing damage, and this unfortunately is the kind of stuff that you might see from, you know, a different YouTuber. The damage is obviously, it's the Daikyu Prime, obviously going to be respectable because we're, you know, still using longbow sharp shot. And we do have, you know, an instant 2 to like 5 slash procs if we're hitting our target and stuff like that. You know, it is, you know, surprisingly good. I feel like I just said, you know, freaking 5 times. It's not that great. it's good, but it's not like good, you know? So maybe if you're in early game, something like this might be a little bit more suited to your tastes. Split Flight is a little bit hard to get your hands on though, so you can just use a normal multi-shot mod. As I said, Gas, in my opinion, isn't quite as good as Blast when it comes to this build. But yeah, I do have Compressor Prime here. I'm not going to show you the build just yet, but I am going to be using Viral, Cold, and Corrosive to prime for it. I just want to show you the damage difference versus when you're priming and when you're not priming. So just for reference over here, on the second shot, we're going to do 1.9 million. That number tends to come up fairly often. So 1.4, 1.9 on a headshot, which is really, really nice. But if we come in prime with the decompressor, get a bunch of different elements on there. That's 67 million. Come over here. Bonk, bonk, 58. Bonk, 51. 52. Very silly damage numbers when you start priming. Compressa has built-in viral damage, which is stellar because it lets us use viral, corrosive, and cold, which means that you can really, really deal some damage numbers because cold is going to be giving you a crit damage bonus. The viral is going to be giving you a health damage multiplier, and then the corrosive is going to armor strip obviously for you. So you just combining all those together really, really makes shit really strong. You can prime most things in the game and it will die. However, for the specific use case of the Daikyu Prime here, I do think it is, you know, better off being that high damage single target weapon, which is why we are going to go into disruption. Jesus Christ. I think for disruption, I might use sight, but sight might just make it really so stupidly strong that I can't do much about it. So I'm, you know what? We'll take good old Loki. Loki will do great here. We're gonna take Loki on this. Because I don't want to have the frame buff the weapon at all. Obviously, Kullervo was not buffing the Daikyu in many ways at all, but, you know, I just want to give it a clean slate. Plus, it's really easy to survive when you're invisible. And hey, Daikyu Prime, it's silent. So yeah, now that we're in here, we're just going to zip around and we're going to do our thing. Parkour tech. Yippee! Jeez.
Something happened to the conjure before you can pull the goods. You don't get the goods ever.
I do have holster swap and vigorous swap, or holster amp and vigorous swap on my Loki, so do keep that in mind that I might be doing a bit more damage. But that is kind of a very disruption thing. That's 96 million. That is a very disruption thing. So if you're going to be running it, you probably do want to be running those mods because you're always going to be priming your target, unless you have like a super crazy stupid build that self-primes.
These are carried by high-ranking marketing monks. Knock them down, see what they've got.
Boom. I don't even think I had longbow sharp shot up for that, so pretty silly. Nice thing about compress is you can kind of just prime everywhere. Maybe really, really nice. Yeah, that impact proc, 30 million impact proc, kind of silly. I don't know about you. It's a what else, Sally? That just fucking killed him. I want to try and keep that longbow sharp shot as much as I can. Dude. Fuck you. It's fucking diabolical. Maybe, you know, maybe acuity mods would be so much better if the AI wasn't, like, actually challenged. Like, it's awful sometimes. Bonk. Bye-bye. Yeah, super easy. Like, that's so much damage. There is no bone in my body that doesn't think that you could take this directly to level cap, just how it is. I really do think it's doing that much damage. Especially because you're armor stripping and you're giving viral, right? Armor is kind of your... Not armor, but DR in general is kind of the biggest issue when it comes to... Oh my god. Jesus Christ. This is what I got for not gaming. I'm not goated with the sauce anymore. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Gameplay does feel a little bit slow because obviously we don't have many Xmas spawns. If this was on a Fisher, that would be amazing because we'd actually be getting like a ton of frickin' spawns and Xmas would be coming through and we get our energy back. In this case, we kind of don't. It is really annoying trying to showcase something and you don't have the energy, but that's what makes a Simulacrum Warrior, so we do it raw. Oh, perfect. You're fucked. Bye-bye. The second I see that Nox, I'm like, ooh, headshot multiplier. These guys are just gonna die in general. That's funny. Compressive video is gonna be very silly. It's multi-gun CO, that thing. And hey, it can self-prime real easy, so life is going to be very easy. Health drain though? Does that go through my invulnerability if I pop it? No, it doesn't. Look at me. I'm so cool. 12 million. So yeah, a little bit slow. It was only 3 minutes, so that's pretty good. Stupid amounts of damage. I don't have the time, unfortunately, to go to level cap and prove it. I have been kind of wanting to do a disruption level cap, though. I'm like itching to do one. But it has to be a relic, like, without a doubt, because fucking no relic is like an actual snooze fest. Anyways, Daikyu Prime, really strong. Really freaking strong. Definitely pick it up. I love this thing. I love the normal Daikyu. I have a pretty good amount of playtime on it. I think it's up there. It's probably like 1 point fucking something percent, but even still, that is quite a good number for all the weapons in Warframe. Anyways, beautiful weapon. I love the way it looks. Actually fucking stellar, and the damage is just amazing. So I am really happy with this. Definitely get this first if you're looking to try and mix up your gameplay, because we don't have enough acuity weapons in this game, and they're pretty cool. So yeah, goodbye. I love you.